All right, you already know who's coming to town to face the 49ers this Sunday, and that is Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. A rematch of Super Bowl 54, in which the 49ers defense actually kept Mahomes and the Chiefs in check for 3+ quarters, but then the wheels came off at the end. So now the 49ers, coming off the loss, are going to try to right the ship against the Chiefs. 49ers are actually 3-point underdogs, and that makes sense given their injury situation. But this matchup remains intriguing, and there is a good chance that the 49ers get a lot of important pieces back for this game. So it's going to be some must-watch football at Levi's Stadium on Sunday afternoon. So let's just go through a cursory introduction to this matchup and some of the dynamics that we will be tracking over the course of this week as we prepare for the 49ers and the Chiefs. And the first one is here. Kansas City has a really good offensive line. Remember the season after the 49ers and the Chiefs played in the Super Bowl, Kansas City went back to the biggest game and they just got smoked by Tampa Bay. And Shaq Barrett was excellent in that game. And one of the reasons that he was so good, I think it's safe to say, is because the Chiefs are essentially playing all backups along their offensive line. And it was a lesson. I think it was a lesson for Russell Wilson, who was in attendance with Roger Goodell in that game. He started creating a stink in Seattle right after that, saying that he wanted better pass protection. But it was a lesson to a lot of people on the internet who figured that offensive line doesn't matter if your quarterback is good enough. But it does matter. And even Patrick Mahomes was grounded by a terrible offensive line in that Super Bowl against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Anyway, since then, the Chiefs have invested a lot in their offensive line. Orlando Brown Jr. is their left tackle. Joe Thuney, one of the best guards in the game, plays at left guard. They drafted Creed Humphrey, who I know a lot of 49ers fans like to play the center position. Their worst offensive lineman is their right guard, Trey Smith, and then they have Andrew Wiley at right tackle. But as far as pass block win rate, the Chiefs are ranked way up there this year. They're doing a good job protecting Patrick Mahomes. And that means that the 49ers are going to have to bring their A-list edge rushers to win this game. It's hard for me to see a scenario in which the 49ers slow down the Chiefs and by extension beat the Chiefs without Nick Bosa. And he's dealing with that groin injury. Kyle Shanahan seems to think that Nick Bosa is going to be able to return this week. That's just me reading in between the lines. But Bosa had a chance to play against the Atlanta Falcons and didn't. I think that he's going to play on natural grass against the Chiefs on Sunday. In fact, it could have been that the 49ers were just holding Nick Bosa out because the game against the Falcons was on artificial turf. Now, I think he has to play. Again, I think this is mandatory for the 49ers to have a legitimate shot of winning this game. And there are other ways around it, but those ways, in my opinion, do not present a likely path to victory. Now, Eric Fisher's gone, right? The Chiefs don't have, and Schwartz and Fisher, the Chiefs don't have the same offensive tackles that they did when the 49ers, I thought, really ransacked that offensive line in the 2019 season Super Bowl. So it's going to be a new test for the 49ers. I do believe Kansas City has actually improved up front, and it's going to be mighty interesting if the 49ers come in at close to full strength at that edge position. Will be mighty interesting to see if they can hold the upper hand against the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, the 49ers defensive tackle situation is a major concern, regardless of whether or not Bosa returns, because I asked Kyle Shanahan on Monday, is there a chance that Eric Armstead returns? And Kyle said, I think that's really unlikely. He's not expecting Eric Armstead to return for this game. Obviously, Javon Kinlaw won't be there for this game. And the 49ers defensive tackles just got absolutely roasted against the Atlanta Falcons. Now, the Chiefs don't play the same brand of football as the Falcons. They're not going to run it down your throat the same way that Atlanta does. I get it. The Chiefs are a pass-first team. So maybe the 49ers will be better off with their defensive tackles, their reserve defensive tackles, who didn't play very well against the Atlanta Falcons. Maybe they'll do better against the Kansas City Chiefs. But still, I think if Andy Reid sees a weakness that he could run at, he's going to run at that weakness. And if he can run successfully at that weakness, the 49ers won't be able to successfully rush the passer. Atlanta completely neutralized the 49ers pass rush by not throwing all too many times. I get it. Mahomes is going to throw more than 14 times in this game, but the 49ers still must force him into more uncomfortable drop back situations. And the only way you do that is by playing better on the interior defensive line. So who knows what the 49ers do? I've talked about Ndamukong Suh. Maybe he's a last minute signing here. I doubt it. That's probably not going to be the case. But maybe you do move Nick Bosa to the inside if it becomes dire and you can't stop the run on the inside against guys like Joe Thuney, the left guard for the Kansas City Chiefs, if you can't stop the run against them with your defensive tackles. Either way, the 49ers might have to get creative because we know that you have to earn the right to rush the passer in this league. And you can't just, fall over against the run like the 49ers did this past week against the Atlanta Falcons. All right, next question that I have is who covers Travis Kelce? I mean, Travis Kelce leads this Chiefs team in catches this year. If you want to look at the receiving arsenal for Kansas City, Kelce paces them with 41 receptions. He's on this season. He's caught 7 touchdowns. Juju Smith-Schuster, former Pittsburgh receiver, 27 catches and a touchdown. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, former Packers receiver, 19 catches. He hasn't caught a score yet, though. And then you have the running backs, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 16 catches. Mecole Hardman, who's actually a receiver for the Chiefs, he's got 15. An old 49ers friend, but no longer 49ers friend, Jerick McKinnon, has 11 catches and 1 receiving touchdown. So as you can tell, Kansas City has spread the wealth around, but most of the targets go to Travis Kelce. So who covers him? Because he did some damage against the 49ers in the Super Bowl. And I think that, Jimmy Ward's unlikely to play in this game. He might be able to get a club onto his hand that allows him to play before this one, but it probably won't happen until the week after, right? When the 49ers face the Rams, based on what Kyle Shanahan said on Monday. Jamie Ward is a guy that you can trust in at least some form of coverage against Kelce, but he still would have a size disadvantage. And the 49ers know this really well through George Kittle. He's a little bit too big for safeties to cover, and he's too fast for linebackers to cover. So you end up passing guys like that off. In the end, the best coverage against Kelce, I think, is something physical at the line of scrimmage with one of your linebackers, some safety help over the top, but a pass rush that is the overarching backdrop of everything that doesn't allow Kelce to break too far into any of his routes. So I think it's going to be a team effort to cover Travis Kelce. And this is why you need to allow that pass rush to eat, which is why it's so important to slow the run game and why you really want Nick Bosa in this football game. And then on top of that, with receivers like Juju Smith-Schuster, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, I think it's just so important that Charvarius Ward is available in this game. And he's day-to-day with a groin injury right now. There is optimism that Charvarius Ward will be ready, because if he is indeed ready, then you effectively take away one of the top outside wide receiving options, whether that be Smith-Schuster, Marquez Valdes-Scantling. There's a lot of hyphenated names, Edwards-Helaire and Marquez Valdes-Scantling, in the Chiefs' arsenal. But you do need Ward to do what he's done, and that's Charvarius Ward do what he's done in as much as taking away half of the field, essentially taking away one receiving option, because otherwise this seems really daunting, right? You've already lost Emmanuel Mosley on the other side. Nobody's really sure where Jason Verrett's going to be until later in this week. Charvarius Ward and Nick Bosa are just two pieces that I think that the 49ers really, really need in this game against the Chiefs. Remember, though, that Patrick Mahomes, as much respect as he deserves, because he's been so efficient, so sensational for the Chiefs over the past few years, he can look human when facing pressure. And Mahomes did throw 2 interceptions in the face of pressure this past week. His 2 interceptions were far worse than Jimmy Garoppolo's interceptions against the Falcons, and it was a Chiefs loss. One was in the red zone for Mahomes, rolling out, guy in his face, forced one in there, and the other one was with the game on the line. It was a short pass, and it was picked off. Both times, the Buffalo Bills, who have a very good pass rush, beat the Kansas City offensive line, pressured Patrick Mahomes, and he threw boneheaded interceptions. So the 49ers, they have a really good pass rush as well. The Bills and the 49ers, in fact, probably on the same kind of caliber as far as pass rushes go. I know the 49ers have those defensive tackle issues, but the edge rushing situation in San Francisco is still a very good one. So if the 49ers can get out there, pressure Patrick Mahomes in a similar way to the Bills last week, then it is not out of the question that he'll throw a bad interception or two. And that could be all the difference in this game, especially if the 49ers on their end do not turn the ball over. And that brings us to the final key of this matchup here. The best defense against Patrick Mahomes is a good offense, especially if your own defense is a little bit banged up. And the 49ers last week did not get the job done against the Atlanta Falcons on offense. But the Chiefs, they don't play great defense. There's yardage that can be gleaned against this Kansas City team. And maybe, just maybe, the 49ers can glean it. Maybe, just maybe, the 49ers can get out there and attack the Kansas City Chiefs in a way that allows them to score some points, control the football, return to their brand of playing the game. Shanahan football, right? Good run game, efficient pass game, especially on third down, and no giveaways. If you do that, you set your defense up in much better position. They're going to be rested against Patrick Mahomes. They'll be able to potentially prey on a couple of turnover balls, and the 49ers will have a chance to score the upset here. Again, they opened up as only 3-point underdogs. So Vegas thinks there's a chance. And if you execute this formula against Patrick Mahomes, I can guarantee you that there is indeed a chance. This is the NFL. The 49ers are still a very talented and respected team. And hey, last year after their worst loss against Arizona in week 9, the 49ers turned around and blew out the eventual Super Bowl champion Rams at home. And that comparison, I don't know if it's going to fly this year with the Chiefs coming to town, but it certainly is worth finding out. And we'll see if the 49ers can this coming Sunday. All right, everybody, like the video, sub to the channel. Take care. We'll talk to you all soon.